January 30th, 2021, Saturday. And I've got a letter today from Ronald E. Turner, Sr., from Sterling Correctional Facility in Sterling, Colorado. And I don't know how he found out about us. I did try to look up his name and Department of Corrections number. I can't find any articles about him. I found where it appears that he got put in prison in 2014. So that would be 7 years ago. His release date is 2038. So that's like 17 years away. So that would be 17 plus 7. What's that? 24 years? I don't know what his crime is. The Colorado system doesn't just come right out and tell you. It gives you a case number. It appears it was in Boulder County, whatever they say he did. But when I try to look up any news reports or even that case number, I just can't find anything. And I've been looking here for about 10 minutes. So I thought, well, I'll just give up trying to research him online and let's just read his letter. So I have not read this letter. Like I said, I don't know anything about him. We're going to learn about him together. I did find his picture when I looked up, him in the Colorado Department of Corrections system. All right, here we go. To Brother Rudy Davis from Pastor Ronald E. Turner Sr., DOC 165660. So he refers to himself as a pastor. I am over 80 years old and was saved in 1955. My goodness. Married over 60 years to the same wonderful woman. I and my wife have been involved in Christian ministry for years. We are King James Version only, independent Baptist churches. Ministry was junior churches set up in training. I have no prior criminal record and joined the pipe fitters in 1963. So you guys might know what the pipe fitters is. I don't know if that's a union league or what. He says he retired from there. Local Union 208 in Denver, Colorado. I have put my life on the line for Colorado a number of times in my occupation. My wife and I have 3 sons. The youngest died of cancer. The oldest lives in Brighton, Colorado. The middle son married a divorced woman with a teenage daughter. Big mistake. Even though there were even though we're heavily, I think he means heavily, involved in a Longmont Baptist church and Christian school, problems still made its way up. Something my son, I can't read the word, something my son, and I'm not going to read the name, his wife had a son. By the age of 3, serious child abuse from mother and stepsister started with them too, and then he mentions what is probably the name of the child. Since I'm reading this for the first time, I'm trying to digest this as we go along and understand if there's like personal names here that I should not put out, right? The church stood with, and then it mentions the his son's wife, which I guess would be his daughter-in-law. The church stood with his daughter-in-law until they found out their lies on Facebook and asked her to leave. But it was not soon enough to help repair the damage they did to his own son. He says a name here. I just don't feel like I should be reading the names here at this point because I don't know enough about what's going on. I don't know where this is going, right? But his name is Ronald E. Turner Sr., and he mentions I guess there was damage done to his son. He left the membership of the church and walked away from a high-paying job to take his son away and protect him. That is what really caused the judicial system to go after my son. He mentions his name. I'm not going to mention his name. He was able to, this sounds a lot like Amy and David Matusiewicz and Amy Gonzalez. I mean, so far it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Anyway, he's got a letter here. He was able to stay away for over 8 months, and by that time, the son, and he mentions the son's name, was able to talk very well. Note, there was not there was not, can't read the word during. There was not something during that time any enforceable law broken. I think he's trying to say there was not an enforceable law broken, but there's a word that I can't read. No crime committed, no warrants, no arrest. There was a protection order made but not served on my son. Should have been on her. I guess his son's wife. It would be his daughter-in-law. Anyway, Longmont Police Commander Jeff Sauter said in Denver Post, my son had just as much right to the boy as she did. They have no jurisdiction over the matter. And my son is served they have no jurisdiction over the matter until my son is served. Note, my son also did not have any previous criminal record. Well, a number of expensive things Longmont did until they were able to locate the boy and serve my son. While my son did not violate any of God's law, the Longmont alleged laws of making the daughter-in-law, the son's wife, the head of the home and gave her the boy. My son did not go to a hearing on the protection order served him. Everyone said and knew that the boy loved his dad and his dad loved him. There was no danger of anything to the boy by his father. Even stated by the mother, they loved each other very much. Well, my son took his boy, but was caught within 1 day and again returned to her. Oh, and the boy was again returned to her. Yes, there is a question here about God's law and man's law. God made my son head of his home. As long as he was right with God and the church, he and the wife were in a covenant agreement over the church they joined in their marriage. Next page. Until on Facebook and meeting with some divorced woman joined a vegan cult, which in itself is not the total problem, but did contribute to the child abuse problem. Without getting into the nitty-gritty facts of the child abuse, note, Boulder District Court suppressed all the child abuse information in order to maintain kidnapping charges against the son. At some point, I may just decide to read the names, but so I guess they're charging Pastor Ronald E. Turner's son with kidnapping. Again, this sounds a lot like David Matusiewicz. And they charge kidnapping against the father, which would be Pastor Ronald E. Turner. So they charge kidnapping charges against the son and Ronald as complicit. He ended up with 36 years. Oh my gosh, for kidnapping his own son? Are you kidding me? He ended up with 36 years and is waiting for Supreme Court in Colorado to hear his case. Mine, 13CR951, I received 27 years. Holy smokes. Here are the very important issues over my sentence. Violation of custody, F4, 6 years. Without ever a custody order filed or served on me or my son. First degree burglary, F3. I guess that means felony 3. 12 years. Without required elements of 1, menacing, 2, weapon, 3, assault. Along with violation of element 5, unless there is an F1 or F2, it's to be an F4. Also, Colorado Supreme Court made a ruling that the information used in charge was defective. See Cooper versus the People. Then second degree kidnapping, F4, 6 years. Wow, so we got violation of custody, first degree burglary, second degree kidnapping. He got 6, 12, and 6. What is that? That's 24 so far, right? But it was placed on my son, not me. I was tried, convicted, and sentenced without a valid charge of kidnapping for trial. Okay, next page. Finally, accessory to crime, F5, 3 years. Well, that puts it up to 27 years, doesn't it? But the problem is the other alleged crimes are all May the 25th, 2013. The accessory to crime is July the 2nd, 2012 through March the 21st, 2013. Note, what you have is accessory to a period of time of no crime committed, no warrants and no arrest, then a period of alleged crimes on me with no accessory to crime to go with it. Then the sentencing, the subject of prior or subsequent convictions. The Longmont DA, Timothy Johnson, stated to sentencing judge Andrew McDonald that he needed to sentence me consecutive, not concurrently. I had no prior conviction, and doing it consecutive makes it a life sentence at my age. Yeah, if he's 80 years old and he got 27 years, well, that's going to be a life sentence, right? Death by prison. I will probably be dead by PED. I think PED is parole eligibility date. But corrected, I would already be up for parole. I believe God wanted me to see what our justice system is all about, and had a large number of men he wanted me to deal with over salvation. Many have received Christ along with a number of other special things. Page 5. With my wife and I working in the children's ministry, I did not see the need to be licensed into the ministry. However, in 1980 at Adams City Baptist Church, the pastor, a retired missionary, Durbin Thorpe, had me get ready to be licensed by the church. I was, along with many responsibilities. Adams City is a North Denver subdivision by Commerce City, Colorado. A couple of things about my case. When my sister, now deceased, and brother-in-law, along with my son, Ronald Turner Jr., that's not the same son as had the problem with the child, were called to testify in trial, in lobby before the door was unlocked, an attorney asked my attorney, J. Scott McConus, how is the Turner trial going? McConus said, very well. We know the Turners are Christians and we are going to crucify them. My goodness, I don't doubt that for a second. We know the Turners are Christians and we are going to crucify them. Also, discussion with the judge, Andrew McDonald. He knew I was licensed in the ministry and called upon to counsel both the wife and my son about putting the home back together properly. The judge said, Mr. Turner, I will see to it that it never happens. You hear me? Bang, bang, win his gavel. The DA, Timothy Johnson, that had a confiscated letter I had tried to send out, had Titus scripture quoted that a woman blasphemes the word of God if she is not obedient to her husband, whom he is right when he is right with God. He said, Mr. Turner said of his daughter-in-law, blaspheme, your honor. Then I was given the 27-year sentence. I have tried to make a long story short. My wife has a CD of the 2,634 pages of trial. She is staying with her sister in Springfield, Missouri, and then he gives me a phone number, which I will not read. He gives me a phone number to his brother-in-law and another person as well. I'm getting my nephew, Paul Brown, to email the Aaron Turnberg story from Boulder County Jail to you, so watch for it. This is absolutely shocking, and it doesn't surprise me given what else we have seen. I mean, I said it's shocking and it doesn't surprise me, right? It's both. It's like, I know how bad the court systems are, and the fact that this man wrote me out of the blue, we've not colluded in our stories, right? But we've came to the same impression that the court systems are satanic, and these lawyers and judges have it out for Christians. They just absolutely hate Christians. And he even quoted one of the guys as saying, they're Christians, we will crucify them. That's exactly what we see over and over again. I try to tell people that, but it's almost like they don't believe me. When Schaeffer said he believes God's law is above man's law, the prosecutor, Stephen Scrocky, said that means that Schaeffer is beyond rehabilitation. That was exactly the prosecutor's words, beyond rehabilitation. And they tried to give him a longer prison sentence. Listen, from what I've read so far, it doesn't appear that he was accused of any child abuse. I don't think anybody's dead, as in the case of David Matusiewicz, whose father killed the daughter-in-law. David did not know that was going to happen, but this case seems even just as bad. Ronald Turner did not get life in prison like Amy and David Matusiewicz and the mother, Lenora, but he got 27 years and he's 80 years old. I mean, it might as well be life in prison, right? So, listen, the state can't come in and like send one of the parents to prison for 36 years and send the grandfather to prison for 27 years. It's just insanity. Listen, I don't even know what to say at this point, but I am very interested in this case. I very much want to help this man. I plan on writing him some letters. I'll put his mailing address in the description in the comments section. And I pray that I'm not the only one that writes this man a letter. I pray that I'm not the only one that gets involved. If we sit back and we let this satanic court system and this satanic government just keep throwing us in, throwing our brothers and sisters in prison, and we don't at least speak up or try to figure out what's going on or try to hold people accountable, then shame on us, right? I mean, I'm very interested in this case, and I very much want to help. And everything I've read here is aligned with what we've seen happen over and over again in this satanic criminal system. Thank you for your time. God bless.